Was there a lot of ethics used back then?
Uh, Not like I hear that it is today.
Mm.
Nothing like that. The ethics that I learned or interpreted was different than punishment. We didn't use ethics for punishment. We used ethics to get people out of the situations they were in so that they could go on to better their lives. So and it took me a while because I was raised in an era of punishment. When we were kids, we got smacked around and we got, little pictures are seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
It was a strict upbringing, but I knew that ethics was different than that. For me, ethics was like a dome over all of the rest of Scientology, and it was clear glass, and you kept it clear. And the way that you kept it clear was through ethics. So that was just a thing I had in my head, that if that dome was clear all the time, everything underneath it was working well. And ethics was kept that glass clean. So I just kind of had this perception that that's how it was different than punishment. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that everybody had that ability to have that little clean glass around their life. They could do that.
Right. And it was sort of a kind of a shield sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it kept everything
clean. And you were an ethics officer.
for a while.
So you actually were applying this to other people and whatnot.
Yeah.
So were people back then being, hit up for money if they had to make amends for things? Was
No.
there... Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, the way that you're
That's
going to
the
get out
thing.
of this is buy your way
Yes.
out? No.
Yes. Catholic indulgences, man. Yeah, that's right. That's a thing now. That's how people do their amends. They'll pay.
Really?
Oh yeah. Ethics officers sell all kinds of books and.
That's why. That's how the Lutheran Church got started. Did you know that?
In protest of that?
Back in the day,
Yeah.
there was this guy who Martin Luther. He was a monk, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and he went to Rome, and he saw that they were, paying to get into heaven.
Yeah.
He went, this isn't right.
Right.
No, I not in my ethics cycles. But
Right.
we were a mission here. That's a big difference, though. You're talking from an org and a Sea Org viewpoint.
That's true.
And this was a mission, and they were different. These were people that just walked in off the street.
Mm.
They didn't have, and if they walked in, there was more chance that they hadn't heard anything bad about Scientology yet. So they wanted something. So if we gave that to them, they were fine.
Right. Now, there's another topic I want to ask about too, because again, this is actually an important difference between then and now. Masturbation, was that a big problem ethics-wise back then?
I never, ever, seriously,
Right.
never came up. If it had come up, I wouldn't have done anything with it. What the heck?
Right.
Come up.
Yeah, no, it's a total thing.
It was not a thing.
Right. So,
Indiscretion was
mhm.
Adultery.
Like adultery,
was,
yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Homosexuality? Not a thing. Yeah, see, the whole character of the church has changed in that regard, and I think that's one of the things that, where we talk about David Miscavige coming in the 80s and the Scientology becoming the worst possible interpretation of itself, where you take the worst of what Hubbard said and you highlight those things and you make those
Apparently,
the important things.
For us, it didn't come up enough to. I don't remember talking to a homosexual. I don't remember it. I just don't remember it coming up. Whether they weren't regged to even get to me, I don't know. So other people at that time, including your dad, may have had a whole different perception of that. But it wouldn't have hit my lines.
Right. But you don't recall there being an attitude about it within Scientology.
Never spoken that I. But you and I have had conversations where you said, Ron wrote in different things, and in a couple of the books, I'm sure he's made statements about that. And I guess I probably remember thinking that they were kind of somewhere along the lower tone levels, but it was not a thing that crossed our plate that much.
Right. Yeah, now it kind of is. Interesting. I mean, it certainly crossed my plate when I was a staff member. And
Did it?
Oh yeah, we had 3 instances that I can recall of homosexual people, LGBT people, coming on for services. Right. One of them, a man who was just classic. I mean, hairdresser, flamboyant, very bright colors. I mean, just stereotype, and nicest guy, but spent years trying to cure his homosexuality with Scientology, to the point where he was sent down to Los Angeles to get special auditing for it, and and did his best to keep himself from dramatizing his aberrations, as they called it, right? In other words, he could not freely express how he actually felt,
Right.
because Scientology considers that homosexuality is a mental illness. It's right out of Dianetics, actually, and then Science of Survival. Hubbard really lays it on about how these people need to be gotten rid of.
See, if that had been a big issue when I was on staff, I wouldn't have been able to accept that, because as a nurse, you treat anything and anyone, and I don't care what their age, sex, gender, it doesn't matter. You take people as they are.
Right.
And so that would have been a big problem for me had that come across my lines.
Yeah.
So again, being in the mission network, we weren't delivering the grades. We weren't delivering, not initial. I mean, we were delivering public services initially.
Okay. Meaning beginning introductory services.
Exactly.
In Scientology, public services is a special expression for new public services, right? Things that are going to introduce people to Scientology.
And that was what the mission did.
That's what it was for. Yeah.
And then eventually we, delivered more and more because we were capable, because our people were trained.
Right.
So anyway, but for me, maybe they just kind of kept me.
I don't think so.
Easy people were.
You weren't the only person I've heard this from, right? Which is why I thought, I wanted to highlight some of the differences.
There was a big difference. I mean, back in those days, there was a difference between the Mission Network and the Org Network. And the Sea Org, they were somewhere else. They were like the GO. They were, they ran the other stuff too. They ran the, like AO and stuff, but...
The advanced orgs.
Yes.
Right.
But they weren't bad guys, I mean, they were delivering services. The only time I ever, really...
Well, and for the most part, the guys who are delivering services in the Sea Org these days are still pretty good guys.
Yeah.
The
Regis were fine. I mean, they had to like you, and we ended up liking them because they were helping us figure out how to get the money for going on.
Right.
So it was a different flow. It was a very different flow. And that's why it never did cross my mind that it was a cult until later.